Everyone, you're with Matthew. You're at the hub, and you're in the matrix, and you may not even know it. We're still talking about the seeking path, the one that we're all on, and I'm wanting to go back and circle back again and talk about trying to debunk the idea or the myth that a seeking path is somehow a lonely, solitary journey. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have that component, but the fact is, existentially, your life also has a solitary part of you. Like that, there is some place to you that will never actually be in contact. The seeking journey is not different than that. There is the solitary part, but it's much more. Progress is made by people coming together. That's part of why we're making and having this hub, this YouTube channel that helps share the process and the how. And there's everyone out there. All of you have a different way of seeking, different stories, different things. And the goal of this whole sequence of clips on the seeking path is to let you know, I'm sharing some of mine, but you're going to have your own way. Now, one of the things that I've discovered, and I remember when I got this book for the first time, Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. I've had multiple copies of it. It's a collection edited by Paul Reps. Where I remember getting it was when I was first starting yoga, and I remember I carried it in my backpack for over 4 years because I ran into a couple of koans that I just absolutely knew were important, but I didn't even have a clue about how to interpret them. Now, if you don't know what a koan is, they're these short little enigmatic things that left you kind of read them and you think, what was that even about, right? And what's interesting is what you'll find when you're exploring wisdom thoughts and seeking in writers and different traditions, they often write in paradoxes, because the only true way to conjoin the invisible part of our experience with the visible is to do it through, I think, paradox. And so koans are an example or an expression of a human attempt to capture what's beyond the words. Because the words themselves, and you know and I know, words never fully are capable of capturing the whole experience. But this idea, this is a koan that I came across and am still think about it all the time. I think this should change, this koan, the truth of this koan should change how we structure education, all sorts of crazy things. But in fact, what it reminds me of profoundly is that if I were doing mind-body solutions or any of my work alone, it would never flourish. It would never come into the form it does. So I'm going to read you this koan. It's ancient Zen koans, and then there's comments on the koan by Muman. And apparently he was a Buddhist monk that wrote them in the 12th century, I think, AD, about the koans. So remember, the koan's intended to leave you like confused at first. This is called Keshapa's preaching sign, and it reminds me to always be appreciative of who's around. Ananda asked Keshapa, Buddha gave you the golden robe of successorship. What else did he give you? Keshapa said, Ananda. Ananda answered, Yes, brother? Said Keshapa, now you can take down my preaching sign and put up your own. Oh dear, that's the whole koan. And that's part of the way that koans and paradoxes are set up to turn you into a seeker, because there is no direct meaning to it. So I'm going to give you what Muman writes then, and I think that's so great about this is Muman made comments on these basically inaccessible koans. And for a Western mind, having a contrast between the koan and comments about it starts to help our mind get going. Okay, so Muman's comments in the 12th century AD. If one understands this, he will see the old brotherhood still gathering. But if not, even though he has studied the truth from ages before the Buddhas, he will never attain enlightenment. So then Muman writes a short little poem too in his comments. The point of the question is dull, but the answer is intimate. How many persons hearing it will open their eyes? Elder brother calls, and younger brother answers. This spring does not belong to the ordinary season. So I want to back up here for a second. And so Muman's poem about this is that the question is dull. The question is kind of boring as to what did Buddha actually give Keshapa when Buddha left, right? That's like whatever, but then the answer is intimate. What's the answer? Keshapa says, Ananda. And right away, Ananda enters the dialogue and the energy with Keshapa and says, yes, brother. He thinks he's got a question, and all Keshapa does is say, Anandu, and then Anandu drops whatever's preoccupying him and becomes of service. And I think that's what Buddha gave Keshapa, is that by naming him successor, whatever that means, right, that unbelievable human beings and students like Ananda were going to come up to him and be willing and open and a fertile dynamic, right? That this spring belongs to no ordinary season. That like the dynamic, the magic is the dynamic between Keshapa and Ananda, not what Keshapa knows, but rather the spring and the intimacy of seeking together between the two of them. That's what Buddha left for Keshapa, is that people would come up to him. And so I think that when you're a teacher, when you're this, if you don't realize that what you know has no meaning without the student, without the sacred dynamic between teacher and student. The sacred dynamic between teacher and student isn't just that the student should be appreciative of the teacher. The dynamic only is fertile if the teacher also holds the student as sacred. And in that dynamic, all wonderful things spring. So Keshapa's preaching sign for me is a constant and deep reminder that the dynamic of realization is shared. It's not solitary, and it's available to you, between you and the world, between you and other people. And you will find that you have better dynamics with some people rather than others, that the spring between certain people and you is deeper. Some of them can never get to the deeper places. That's also something to recognize and appreciate. You don't want just deep, hard dynamics. You want the whole spectrum of relationship, but always recognize that your secret path, your sacred path, your seeking path is integrated with others too. They're there to reflect back. The connection to others is so important. Let us know about a teacher you've had, and it doesn't have to be in school. It could be someone you observed, someone you watched, anything where the dynamic was what really, really struck you. That's what we want to hear about. Where were the places where you were coming alive? What were your sacred springs? Let us know about some teachers or some people that have been really important in your seeking path. Until next time, and we meet again in the Matrix. Hey, I'm back. If you liked what you saw, there's more coming. To keep up with new releases, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. But know, In the Matrix is intended as an ongoing conversation. Please share with your comments, thoughts, and suggestions, and you may even reshape our next encounter in the Matrix.